Hi everyone, this is JP, and I'm here in Seattle in my dining room, and I'm experimenting with video. So today I'm going to tell a story about learning vocabulary. I know it's everybody's favorite topic. Um, we learned in grad school that sometimes, especially when you have monolingual students, you have to give them strategies for how to learn language, specifically vocabulary, because they're not always it's not something they've ever done before, so they need strategies. So sometimes as teachers, we have to give them strategies. So I always tell my students, what they do is they'll ask me, they'll say, how are we supposed to learn all these words? Right? And of course I know it's not a real question. Of course I know they're just trying to complain. They're just like, there's too many words. But teenagers form their complaints in the form of a question, because that way, I don't know why they do it. Anyway, they totally do. So, and of course I answer them. I know they're just complaining, but then I answer them. Oh, okay. You want to learn how to, you want some strategies of how to learn vocabulary? And they're like, okay, they'll listen, because that means, we start the class a little later, because I'll talk about strategies. So we'll start the lesson plan just that much later, which they're always happy to do. So they asked me, how are we supposed to learn all these words? And I'm like, all right, you want me to tell you? And they say, yeah, okay. So first I'll tell you the wrong way. The wrong way to learn all these words is to use flashcards. It's just wrong. Another wrong way to do it is make that list. You make that list where it's like strawberry, fresa, banana, plátano, pineapple, piña. People don't really learn from those lists. They don't learn from the flashcards either. The list and the flashcards, those are good strategies for cramming for a test. Okay, they're not good strategies for learning Spanish for your life. But if all you want to do is, remember some words for a test, then by all means do that. But if you want to learn Spanish for your life, then you should listen to what the good strategies are. And of course, because they all want to say, oh, that's what I do. That totally works. Flashcards totally work. And I'm like, okay, whatever, man. So anyway, the best strategy is, if you want to learn your words for life, is to go out in the world and use those words in context, in a conversation, and use them. And if you use them well, you pat yourself on the back. And if you make a mistake and you get corrected, then you pat yourself on the back, because then you will never forget that word ever again. Right? And of course, then, then the students are totally against me at this point, because the girls are like, oh my God, I would die. I would die. That's so embarrassing. And then the dudes are like, I'm so embarrassed that you're still talking. Right. Anyway, so last night, a friend of mine introduced me to her Chinese friend, and I was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, your Chinese is really good." And I said, "Oh, it's not that good, because, when you speak Chinese, you're not supposed to accept a compliment. You're supposed to deflect it." And I said, "Just today, we were at a Chinese restaurant, and I wanted to order dumplings, so I asked for sui jiao." And the waiter said, oh, okay, dumplings. And then I realized, okay, he didn't understand what I said. He had to figure it out. So I asked him, so how are you supposed to say it? And so I think he was a little embarrassed that he was correcting me. So he was like, sui jiao. And I said, oh, okay, sui jiao. And then I was telling this to, and then he said, yeah, boiled dumplings. And it was obvious to me that it was not correct. Okay, so I told this to my friend's Chinese friend, who is complimenting me on my Chinese. She says, "Oh, your Chinese is so great." And I said, "No, just today I had this problem with the waiter, and I didn't say it right, and I don't know what the problem is." And she told me, "Oh, yeah, boiled dumplings. You should say 水饺. I'm sorry. She said you should say 水饺, because 水饺 means dumplings, and 睡觉 means sleep. So it sounded like you were saying sleep. And so I thought, oh, it's a tone problem. Obviously, I said, okay, so there's two third tones. And she said, yeah, there's two third tones. I was like, oh, okay. So now I was embarrassed, right? I was embarrassed that I told her, and I even told her the story wrong, and she corrected me. I'm never going to get that wrong again, right? I'm never, ever going to get 睡觉 and 睡觉 mixed up. Did I just do it wrong? 睡觉 and 睡觉, yeah. I'm never going to get that mixed up again because, I mean, they don't even sound the same to me. Now I know the difference. And I knew the difference before, but it didn't really stick in my brain. But now that I've had a little bit of embarrassment, it's stuck in my brain, right? And so a little bit of embarrassment that's the way you should learn language. Now, of course, my students are like, I'm not going to, do you know how hard it would be to go out and get embarrassed by every word? And I have to tell them, yes, I know how hard it is to go out and get embarrassed by every word, because that's how you learn language, right? And then they throw darts at me because they hate me so much. So that's my story about vocabulary. If you want to learn your vocabulary, you should go out and use the words in context, and it's okay to make mistakes. In fact, if you make mistakes, it'll stick in your head better. All right? If you want to stick with flashcards and lists, I mean...